Welcome to the Roofing and Exteriors Influencer Series. I'm Chief Editor Rachel Williams. Throughout this series, we'll be bringing you video interviews filmed during the International Roofing Expo from thought leaders. On this episode, I'm speaking with the National Women in Roofing's Executive Committee. I have with me here Vice Chair Michelle Boykin, who is COO of Rackley Roofing Company, immediate past Chair Jennifer Stone, who is Preferred Account Manager of Roofing Systems at Johns Manville, and Executive Director Ellen Thorpe, who is Principal of Meridian Consulting LLC. Ladies, thank you for joining me.
Absolutely. Thank you for having us.
So I wanted to start off by asking you, for those companies who are interested in diversifying their workforce, where should they start?
Well, I think diversity is an interesting conversation in the industry right now. And I think one of the most important things is just be willing to talk about it, to accept that this is an issue that needs to be talked about. And, that really is the beginning. And we at National Women in Roofing are looking at right now putting out some education on diversity, equity, and inclusion. And we've learned, and Ellen, you can speak even more to this, we've learned really it starts with the individual. Your individual education, how you individually see things. And we really believe that is the start that the roofing industry needs.
We also know that women do better when they're in environments that are supported. So women need mentoring and networking and education just like anyone else does in the workforce. So the companies that are most successful in recruiting women onto their teams are those who are willing to go the extra mile. We have owners of companies who are men who reach out and say, I've got 7 women at my company, I want to make sure that they feel supported. We're going to offer membership as a company benefit. And that makes a huge difference to those women who are working there.
We were talking earlier too, Michelle and I, before this in preparation about, there's a lot like we want diversity, but you do have to look inside yourself, right?
You really do. I think it's something that, you need to make sure that your company has the culture for it. But that starts with you.
Before you hire.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, you want to have an environment that a woman wants to come and work in, or somebody that's diverse wants to come and work in. And if they don't feel comfortable in that environment, then it's not going to do any good anyway. So having starting with yourself, as Jennifer said, and looking inside, but also making sure that your culture is ready for diversity.
Yeah. And part of that is representation. What is your company's, what is the representation? Who is the face? Who does the training? Who does the hiring? Who does the interviewing? Does everyone look the same? That might not be the best way to actually diversify your culture.
Absolutely.
And your teams.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then when we're talking about workplace interactions, what role does unconscious bias play? And what are some common examples of that we should be aware of?
Oh gosh, the first thing that we thought about was, it tends to be in the roofing world that women are only in a certain role, so in an admin role or something like that. So really opening up your eyes to say, so many different sorts of diverse people can be in so many different positions in a roofing industry. We've got people on the roof, we've got people in insurance, we've got people in manufacturing and distributing, all these things. So not sort of pigeonholing a person into a certain type of role.
Yeah, I think that is absolutely the whole picture, right? We have our own bias. I have a bias of what I see when I go to a company to interview and it's all men, right? I have a bias, okay, well obviously they don't this, they don't that. I don't know that. That's my own bias that we have to learn from. And then the same is true. When a woman walks in your office to apply or something like that, you have that bias. Oh, accounting, admin. Actually, no, she's kick-ass on the roof. Right? There's all these things. We can't hold those prejudice and bias anymore. We have to be open to seeing everyone for who they may be as an individual, not what our reality that we saw those people in.
At the beginning, Jennifer mentioned about starting with yourself, and what we know from the research is that unconscious bias is implicit in everyone, and you have to be willing to look at it, to look at yourself. And for people who think that they have no bias, that is exactly the place where it needs to start.
And not be scared to talk about it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's okay to talk about. It's okay to feel awkward and uncomfortable talking about it. That's fine, but it does need to start.
And earlier you mentioned mentoring. Why is that such an important part of the equation, and what is NWIR doing to advance that?
So much.
So it's everything.
I'll start. We can all talk about it. We know that mentoring for women in particular, that's the platform we talk about. Well, of course, women are not all diversity, but women in particular have been not really in the culture of finding a mentor, having a mentor professionally, even personally. It's not something that's been cultivated in our history. And so we know how important that is. And we have a lot of data, too, that shows us that women need that mentorship. They need a network of women, they need a network of people that they can freely talk to, that they can be open with, and that they know will accept them, right? Because we can, it's back to that first question about bringing more diversity in. We can bring women, we can bring diversity in, but if there isn't a network of mentorship, there's no retention.
We have several programs that address that. We have a one-on-one mentor and mentee matching program that our members can sign up for on our website. We have a members-only mentoring blog, sort of like a Dear Abby column for the roofing industry, where members write in with questions and situations, and members of the mentoring committee answer those. We have a toolkit and a guide for how to do mentoring circles at an event. It's written specifically for the 40-plus councils or chapters that we have across the United States, but certainly could be employed by any organization to create mentoring circles. But probably our most favorite events are when we do one-to-one mentoring conversations at our annual conference or at regional meetings that we attend. It's where we have 4 or 5 different topics, and women who are willing to be mentors sit at that topic, and other women come around and ask questions, and that's usually one of our most popular events. Women love having the chance to just connect with each other and to have the opportunity to come to a conference or one of our meetings and talk with another woman in roofing, especially if it's a woman who's an owner or in the C-suite or a superintendent or a foreman. That's something that you may not get the chance to do in your everyday job, and so it's really a unique thing that we are able to bring to the industry.
It also shows a lot of opportunity. There's a lot of opportunity,
I think a lot of times women, we tend to think that we need to know everything before we make a jump into a role or into a position. And so knowing that you've got somebody that you can call or you can reach out to and say, hey, you've been through this before, can you talk to me about your situation? Mentoring does not have to be this, and it can be. It's a great opportunity when it is this formal thing, but a lot of times it's just knowing people in the industry and being able to reach out and say, hey, what did you do in this situation? Or, what skills do I need for this? And just knowing that you've got that open communication with someone else is really helpful.
So there's a lot of ways to get involved in mentoring, and there's a lot of different ways mentoring, what that can look like, from an official program, a one-on-one match, the other mentoring tool, the toolkit that we have, the council events, but also getting involved is a great way to mentor someone and find a mentorship relationship. And that really is one of the keys for women in the industry, is letting them be involved, seeing the value, and then taking the initiative to be involved with other like-minded women who want to represent the industry and be fantastic.
Absolutely.
All right, well, that is some great advice. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Rachel.
Thank
Great
you
to
for
see
having
you.
us.